Good morning, everyone. I'm Shanthan, and today I'll be presenting a research topic on sustainable digital marketing social media's role in promoting eco-friendly FMCG brand practices. In fact, how social media can drive environmental change while boosting business performance in FMCG sector. That's my topic, and I am Shanthan. I'm a research scholar from Tumkur University, and this entire topic I have done under the guidance of Professor Noor. Well, moving ahead, let me give a brief introduction about how we are trying to take it ahead, because we are actually witnessing a fascinating convergence where one side consumer want sustainable products, on the other side social media is offering unprecedented engagement opportunities. So there is a twist there. But here is a question: can companies actually use social media to promote environmentally consciousness products while also maintaining profitability? Because we have analyzed almost 15 top Indian companies for last 8 months, and then we have presented it. And the result, companies can actually achieve both environmental impact and a superior business performance in terms of profitability. So let's try understanding one by one, before which I'll also take you to the literature review. For the very reason, previous research was majorly focused on either digital marketing effectiveness or environmental marketing, but rarely both put together. Actually, we built a theory wherein a theory of planned behavior can be applied in terms of social media context. So this is something which I extensively worked on in case of FMCG company, and the gap was very clear. Majority of them have focused on one aspect. So we tried bringing both of it and understanding majorly on how consumer behavioral can change a lot. So this show is, slideshows where we are trying to present you is majorly focusing on theoretical foundation, where we try noticing the recent citations, which is confirming there is a gap. And that gap is what we are trying to, fill it up and take it ahead, because sustainable digital marketing framework is actually a key theoretical contribution to the society, where it is focusing on major pillars like, can authenticity be the foundation? Can we bring in transparency to the market? Can we make sure consumer engage? Also focus on conversion, and how does educational value makes a difference in the sales, and can we measure the same? This is the exact way which I have taken it, and also I focused on bringing in that research methodology both on qualitative and quantitative. Almost 500 plus consumer survey has been done in last few months, and based on that I'm presenting it. In fact, qualitative aspect of consumer understanding by meeting them and in-person interview has helped us a lot. And also we did some secondary research on understanding which major social media platform can work well, how is that mixed methodology of qualitative and quantitative can have an impact on psychology of consumer behavior. Even that has been considered in this regard. So coming to the major point, what is that result which can generate, or what is that findings based on my analysis? I'll take you through with a couple of result pointers. So let's bring in the first area or the first finding, that is, what is the content performance result? As in, what is that content when we're producing it? What is the result which we'll be able to generate out of this analysis? So let's start with that. The major factor which we found out in the finding is authenticity actually wins huge margin compared with just promoting the information. A lot of social media platforms and a lot of FMCG companies are targeting only on one aspect: can I promote my product? But the focus helps when you are authentic in nature. In fact, couple of statistics based on our understanding, companies with actually genuine environmental commitment can get almost 42% higher engagement. That is massive in compared with just promoting the information. Two, visual contact actually crushes the text. So making sure your focus is on majorly visual contact can help. In fact, 67% better performance compared with any other text information which was promoted. The third, which we also understood, is if it is educational content, rather than trying to convey about the product, educate the consumer, that was having more than 34% of engagement. And finally, we understood consumer is not there to be just sold to. In fact, he wants to learn as well. This was our first finding. When we did it, we also understood to ask, if that is the case, how is that consumer responding? What is their actual response in the market? That's our second finding, wherein consumer behavior insights was being taken up, wherein we understood how the consumer psychology is fascinating to know about our paper or the article when we are writing about the regular exposure to authentic environment made sure the consumer engagement increased by almost 23%. To get this, the authentic companies see almost 31% higher brand preference, so that there's some eco-conscious consumers also coming into the segment. We also tried understanding how the demographic pattern works, wherein young consumers actually engage more. They are interacting more, but older consumer are the one who are converting into sales on a higher ratio. That was fascinating. The second information we also got was, in fact, urban consumers engage more, interact more, but rural consumers are more loyal. So this is something which is exciting for us to understand, to say where is that these FMCG companies have to project themselves to increase their sales, to increase their brand. Based on this information, they can take a decision as well. In that case, the real question still holds on with one aspect. What about sales then? Will it have an impact on sales? Because the performance in sales is what matters at the end of the day. So even we tracked on that. That's our third finding or the key results which we got about sales results. Wherein this is where it is exciting for business. Business is not focusing on whether I promote online or offline. Their agenda or understanding is, can I increase my sales? Can I increase my profitability? And can I focus on an aspect of how my brand presence is much better? In that case, they're okay in changing their strategy. They're okay in changing the methodology which they're using it, but they're not okay in spending money and losing the presence of it. If that is the case, our findings gave us some more insights, because the third key result on the sales performance showcase almost 35% average increase in eco-friendly product sales. That is, it's not marginal, it is transformational. In fact, when you focus on personal care or a household or a food product which is daily consuming, the performance is even more. And especially when you focus on a premium insight like, can the authentic information be passed on, which is also environmental messaging? In that case, 18% sales was also increased. When we focused on conversion rate, in fact, we got 26% higher when consumers are engaging on the environmental content first and then going on to the promotional content. And in fact, the major discussion, of course, long term, when I say about, is the futuristic aspect, where we had a very limited time of 10 months within which when we are trying to track it, the long term impact was almost 22% higher customer lifetime value. That's a LTV which we focus on, and that had a great result. Trust me, this is something which we found out very exciting for it to be taken ahead. So in that order, we found environmental marketing is not just good for planet alone, it's good for the bottom line of any company. Now, obviously, the big question comes is, in this process of sales performance, when we are doing it, will individual engagement is important or community building? And that is where our fourth finding came into picture. How important is building community, and how important is to make sure the focus is not only on individual. For the reason, when the individual focus was increased, the challenge we witnessed with a lot of company was the budget of marketing or spend was pretty high. So the focus was kept again back on an aspect, if we can build a community where word of mouth, which is a viral marketing, can take over the lead. In that order, when we got it, some key takeaways which we analyzed or the findings was, environmental communities are game changers. In fact, the massive result was 58% engagement rate is because communities can outperform the traditional segment of how dramatically followers were increasing. So in fact, community members, they become the advocates. They are using it like word of mouth segment, because the content sharing increased by 73%. As I told you, conversion rate with community is not one to one, one to many. In that order, that helped almost 73%. This is a massive finding which we were able to get at. And in fact, the user generated content from the entire community was almost 89% engagement rate. The reason is simple. When I know a person selling it to me, The trust is already built and I believe to buy. In that order, almost 89% engagement rate was there. It's not about conversion rate, it's about engagement rate. But when we looked onto the conversion rate, it was almost 30%. That is almost increased by 33% compared with the regular content which you used to generate it. So the multiplier effect is incredible. So in that order, one, engaging on community member reaching will make a lot of difference is what we found out. So in that case, what is it almost meaning from a company's perspective? This is about, as an organization, at the end of the day, what are these action pointers which we can use it like a strategic implementation so that we can increase our sales, increase our brand presence at a cost effective methodology, or it's a tried and tested method with a limited understanding of what we have taken. Based on that, I think this is something which we are projecting. The way which we analyzed are 6 major recommendations which we will be promoting, which organizations can use it on a long run to take it ahead. Number one being, can authenticity be first? Because investing on actually real environmental improvements will make marketing team look real. It is not about projecting only the success rates. It is always about projecting the authentic problem. Even if you have a problem, how do you deal it is something which is having a major impact on engagement rate rather than conveying only the success ratio. Because a lot in the social media platform is fake information, or which is not acceptable information by consumer. They feel they are being cheated. Rather, when you are real and when you are authentic, the conversion ratio is improving. That is the first suggestion. The second, which we also found out, if it is educational strategy, that will definitely beat your promotional strategy every time. So we did almost 1,000 plus video analysis, which we did it from the backend aspect to check the analytics, which we found out every time 90 plus percentage time educational strategy is beating promotional, because people are watching someone whom they know, but people are watching and continuing to watch if that someone whom I know is also giving an educational content. If it is a promotional content, they're flipping it to the next video. In that case, the educational content is being engaged more than promotional video. The third aspect which we learned is from a perspective of building communities. It is not just from a perspective of followers. We already looked into the key findings. Individual education spreading was a big challenge in 3 aspects. One, the cost was huge. They were unable to increase the virality of the product, and they are not sure about whether it works. But when they compared it with building community, we had literally 89% of increased content engagement compared with individual. So it is not about having followers, it's about building a authentic community. So it's a long-term payoff which we are looking forward. A lot of them get confused from a perspective, do I have followers? No. Do I have community? Which is as simple as 100 plus is much bigger than having 1,000 followers, because community engagement rate is high, community sales rate is high, community's branding aspect is much higher. The fourth aspect which we looked was, each platform has its own strength. So I'll not be able to say that everywhere this is a common platform. No. Facebook still works for baby boomers, where the age old between 40 plus, it is still Facebook which is working, or 45 plus. And anything from the millennials and Gen Z segment, it is about the Instagram or any other platform which we are using it in the form of LinkedIn can work well. So we should be very specific on which platform we are using it. One common information will not fit all the platforms. Fifth, transparency builds actually trust. In fact, don't try hiding the challenges is what we understood. When you're transparent, the confidence with which we are trying to convey and the other side of the consumer will be able to connect with us. If there is a problem, convey this is a problem and how we overcame, rather than conveying I only have successful product. So that is a transparency which makes. And the sixth and the most important part is, can we have a measuring factor as well, both from marketing and environmental impact? Imagine if you are trying to produce the products and say that every time a batch is being released, how many such trees are being protected is more important than only conveying the features of the product, because people buy product anyway when they are paying it for you than for your competitor, what is the reason which you are giving it? And this is one of those reasons where we found on the higher rate of sales having it. But having all that said, can I convey that there's no limitation? No, definitely there's limitation. There are four limitations on a simple term. One, cultural difference definitely is there. Two, we have taken almost 9 to 10 months of a duration, which behavior analysis, I cannot say everything is assessed, but majorly it is assessed. Three, the established companies is what we have taken. Smaller companies might have a different result. Four, the landscape, which we are trying to take it ahead, can change as well. And finally, concluding it, our project which we are trying to take ahead is like the actionable guidance. So consumers are frankly sophisticated today. Request the company to use this as an impacting project which can have a social impact and also increase the sale. As I told earlier, the future belongs to the brand which can authentically connect with environmental value with the consumer need rather than trying to promote only the product about it. In this case, I would like to conclude with one last line: focus on environmental project. Even though the percentage of cost is higher, the sales is much bigger in the ratio of connecting authenticity, environment, and making sure you're connected on a projected basis. This is something which I wanted to project. Thank you so much. I'm Shanthan. Under the guidance of Professor Noor Afza from Tumkur University, I'm presenting this project. Thank you for this opportunity. Look forward for the more. Thank you.